Welcome to the Aging Answers podcast. My name is Rob Faubion with Age of Central Texas. We are a regional nonprofit organization that tackles the challenges of aging with expert solutions. Our expert joining us today is Michael Gill. He is the president of the Texas Senior Living Locators. Get that correct?
Texas Senior Living Locators.
I got it correct. Excellent. And we're going to talk about senior living options. And a lot of times caregivers will get in touch with us with the question of when do you know it's time for your loved one to move from independent living to an assisted living. So when you're meeting with caregivers and their families, what are some of the typical trigger points that it is obvious for the caregiver it's time that we need to look beyond mom living at home by herself?
And of course, we'd always prefer them to live at home as long as they can, and that's the mission of age.
Right.
But there are 3 times that I find that it's necessary to move to an assisted living or other type of memory care facility. And those reasons fall into 3 general categories. Number 1, when you're a danger to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, when you be healthier with supervision. Or number 3, when there are caregiver issues. And maybe we should go over each one of those individually.
Right. So what are some of the good warning signs that the older person is going to be a danger to themselves? What are things caregivers should be looking for in that situation?
Well, number 1, there's a few obvious things such as leaving on the stove or when they would wander outside the house and not be able to find their way back home.
Right.
But there are other things that are more insidious. For example, sometimes people will end up taking medications multiple times, forgetting that they already took them about 5 minutes ago.
Right.
What that means is that they go into a situation where they're doing overdose unintentionally, and I find quite a few people who end up in that situation in a skilled nursing home.
Right. And then so when you see someone who would be better with supervision, then that obviously is a lot of the trigger points as
And that's
well.
the second reason why you end up moving. The first reason, when you're endangering yourself frequently, that's because somebody is falling into dementia. But when you be healthier with supervision, that's when there's things such as self-neglect, when somebody isn't feeding themselves properly, or when they are taking their medications intermittently or not appropriately, or when they just need more or less social isolation and more socialization.
Right.
And socialization is probably the number 1 reason people decide on their own to move. But when they are half forced to move by family members, it's more because they're a danger to themselves. Or the third reason, where there's caregiver issues.
Right. And also, healthier with supervision, a lot of times seniors become fall risk. And
Absolutely.
so that's obviously a reason that you would want to be in a situation where there are more people around that can help to not only prevent that, but in the event of an issue, you've got someone there to help out.
And that's a good segue into the fact that sometimes there are caregiver issues. Frequently you'll have a healthy spouse taking care of an unhealthy spouse. And sometimes the unhealthy spouse becomes a fall risk and the healthy spouse can't pick them up any longer. Or the healthy spouse is getting older and unable to take care of both of them as well as they used to be able to.
Right.
Or other caregiver issues include the fact that it's expensive to have caregivers come to the house. It's about $2,500 a month to have somebody 4 hours a day, 7 days a week for a full month. And if money becomes an issue, once you need somebody 8 hours a day or 12 hours a day, it becomes cheaper to be in an assisted living. Or a third reason would be that the family cannot find enough good caregivers for whatever reason. Either they're trying to hire the caregivers themselves directly, and the caregivers aren't showing up for whatever reason. Or maybe they live in a rural area where they just cannot find enough people to come when they need them.
Right.
So those are the primary reasons why people end up moving out. Our goal is not to make people move out of their house as a locator service, but it's only to point out when there's times when it's necessary for everybody's health and well-being.
Right. Terrific. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you for joining us for this podcast. If you have a question you would like one of our experts to answer, send us an email. Our information is listed below. Also, check out all of our other podcasts that we have. We have another set with Michael where we talk about the different types of assisted living, and we answer the question, what do you do when mom made you promise never to put her into a home, but that's something that you really need to do is to find her some assistance. So thank you for joining us, and check out our other podcasts.